take two. We had a nice black cat interrupt us while we were trying to do this one, so thanks, Sheba. Anyway, the topic today is, have you ever had an emotional meltdown and what you did to try to avoid it, and you had one anyway? So I am going to work on trying to explain how to avoid an emotional meltdown and what to do when it happens anyway. Noticing when you're feeling overwhelmed is the first step towards stopping an emotional meltdown before it happens. If you're tired or hungry, or overwhelmed, these are all triggers for an emotional meltdown. If the stressful and overstimulating world we live in, becoming so overwhelmed by your stress that it significantly affects your behavior, an emotional meltdown can happen to all of us. An emotional meltdown isn't exactly a medical diagnosis. It's used in popular discourse to describe when we are overcome emotionally, when we hit a breaking point. For some people, a meltdown may look like crying uncontrollably. For others, it may look like snapping at others or lashing out angrily. And for others, it may involve panicking or running away from a stressful situation. An occasional meltdown is completely normal. You may suddenly burst into tears or lash out with anger because you feel out of control, overwhelmed with pressures and things in your life that are unpredictable. That doesn't mean something is wrong with you. It may, however, be an indication that you're going through a challenging time and some of your personal and emotional needs are not being met. The good news is that you can recover from a meltdown. You can also learn to manage the stressors in your life that threaten to push you over the edge so that future meltdowns are less likely. Common triggers of emotional meltdowns. The particulars of why emotional meltdowns happen are unique to the individual and the situation, but certainly conditions raise the likelihood of a meltdown occurring in many, if not most, people. Licensed master social workers and consultants explain that these common triggers can include being overtired, getting too little sleep, particularly if it's... Sorry, I get antsy from getting too little sleep. Getting too little sleep, particularly if it's night after night, can make you more irritable, short-tempered, and vulnerable to stress. Hunger, even if it's known as hangry. Even if you consume enough calories in a given day, going too long without food may result in a blood sugar level that's too low and low enough to cause low energy, shakiness, headaches, and troubles focusing. Being overwhelmed or overscheduled. Taking on too many responsibilities at once, or even agreeing to too many social activities, is a surefire recipe for feeling overwhelmed. Big life transitions. Getting or losing a job, starting or ending a relationship, moving to a new home, getting married, having a baby, graduating college, and many other normal transitions make you more emotionally vulnerable. Unaddressed relationship issues. The closer the relationship, the more important it is to address differences as they arise. Allowing conflicts to fester typically results in more minor disagreements that aren't problems in and of themselves, such as arguing about what movie to watch or where to go eat, but rather represent bigger issues. More disagreements equal more stress, not less. If you're prone to meltdowns, think about what tends to lead up to them or to set them off. Some may be easily resolved, such as being sure to eat more frequently. Others may take more work, such as learning better communication skills. How to stop an emotional meltdown if you feel one coming on. Go take a nap. No, you can't stop difficult situations from occurring, but you can change how you respond to them. The next time you start feeling the signs of acute distress, your face getting hot, hands getting cold, breathing getting shallow, pay attention to how you feel, and unless you're being called upon to save someone's life, take steps to calm yourself before attempting to respond to what's happening. It's important to pause when we're experiencing any overwhelming emotion. Our brains are operating differently in these moments and do not have the capacity to make logical decisions. Grounding techniques such as sending awareness towards your feet, touching your fingertips together, and breathing exercises can be helpful ways to calm yourself down. I do deep breathing, as in through your nose, out through your mouth. In through your nose, out through your mouth. And I teach others that as well, because I was taught that a long time ago. And you don't do it fast or you're going to hyperventilate. You have to do it slow and thoughtful. You have to be aware of what you're doing. Take a deep breath in for 4 seconds. And this is the technique I'm talking about. Take a deep breath in for 4 seconds. Hold the breath for 4 seconds. Breathe out for 4 seconds. Pause for 4 seconds before taking another breath. Repeat until you feel calmer. To me, I think it's longer than 4 seconds. I think it's like almost like hold it until you can't hold it anymore, and exhale until you're out of breath almost, or until you can feel that anxiety being released from from your body. And remember that these steps won't reverse a difficult situation or make the problem that triggered your strong emotional response go away, but calming yourself down before responding helps you cope with the situation from a less emotional and more thoughtful place. I want to see if this damn button works. I don't know why the button doesn't work. Let me see what else we got. I'm looking at Everyday Health. It's a newsletter that I get in my email. So the next one is how to recover if you've had an emotional meltdown. How do you feel after you've had a meltdown? Me, myself, I feel exhausted. I'm just to the point of I need a snack. No, I just feel exhausted. Do you feel embarrassed or ashamed of your behavior or of letting others know how you feel? For me, I feel very vulnerable. I don't want to talk about it because usually I cry because I'm so overwhelmed. Do you feel relieved that you've expressed your feelings or justified for letting them out? Are you afraid or anxious about possible repercussions for your outbursts? Absolutely not. I feel completely legitimized that I have every reason to have that meltdown, that mine comes from trauma, PTSD. I guess everybody has their reasons why they have a meltdown and where it stems from. So I guess it is person in person, situation to situation, on how they feel and how they react. While most people would rather forget a meltdown as quickly as possible, it can be a learning experience. I can't say that I want to forget about it. I want to remember it for the next time one happens and hope that I learn from it and it's not as severe, but usually it is. For example, if you see that you tend to melt down when you're trying to do too much at once, you can use that information in a positive way by learning to manage your time better or learning to say no more often. And that's what I mean about learning from it. You're supposed to learn from it. Mine is from, like I said, from trauma, so I don't learn from it, although I try. I try the deep breathing, I try everything that is suggested, and that does not work for me. I've tried talking to my therapist. He gives me advice. I contradict what he says and tell him it doesn't work that way. If you feel embarrassed about revealing your emotions in public, you might examine how you feel about your feelings. Why it's okay for you to be angry or to be sad or to need something from someone else. Feeling ashamed about your emotions won't help you handle them better in the future, so be kind to yourself. That's hard to do when the situation happens time and time again, and as hard as you try to control it, you can't. It's very difficult. And you try to tell yourself, it's okay, everything's fine, it'll be over soon. That doesn't work either. I have a hard time with that as well. And what if you feel relieved after a meltdown? Sometimes expressing your feelings, even in the form of a meltdown, can relieve stress if you've been holding your emotions in check. But wouldn't it be better to learn to express your feelings before you got to the point of dissolving in tears or lashing out at others? It's not easy, but it's possible to express your emotions in a healthy way so that you're not bottling them up inside. I can express my feelings until I'm blue in the face, and the situation that causes my meltdowns happens repeatedly because that's just the way society is. I can't control it. I have no control over it. I can't hide from it. I can't run from it. It just is what it is, and I deal with it every single time. So there really isn't anything, no matter how much I tell myself it's okay, it's going to be over soon, it still happens. So also know that while you never need to apologize for your feelings, you may need to apologize for your behavior or for the way you expressed your feelings. I call bullshit on that, and of course, as with everything, it depends on the situation. If it's anger, if it's frustration, if it's, it depends on what kind of emotion you are expressing, and that's how you have to handle it on a situation I don't know how else to explain it. If your meltdown if your meltdown involved raising your voice at other people or behavior like throwing or slamming an object while in the presence of others, apologize and come up with a plan to manage your emotions differently the next time you're upset or stressed. In other words, bullshit your way through it. Lie about it. Explain that you're having a bad day. Explain that, whatever situation. I don't know, I guess I feel that lying about it is easier because then, I'm not saying you should lie about it, I guess just sugarcoat it. Because it says next time, you get upset or stressed out, you're going to behave different. And not necessarily. like I said, it's situational. So if you find this type of behavior is common for you and you're having difficulty managing it on your own, consider reaching to a therapist for help coming up with alternative coping strategies. Oh, coping skills. Coping skills. Having an emotional meltdown is never an excuse for abusive behavior, whether verbal or physical. And that I agree with. It just isn't. Mine, I can say, are within me. They have to do with me, they're within me, and have nothing to do with anybody on the outside of myself. So I guess in that way I'm lucky. There are times where, I get frustrated trying to do something and it's not going well, and somebody will ask me, do I want help? And I snap and say, I can fucking do it myself, I don't need your help. And then I'm apologetic and I'm sorry. And, in that aspect, sure, but that's pretty rare. But do be kind to yourself. We all get overwhelmed sometimes, and shaming ourselves about it is not helpful. Yeah. So, excuse me. How to prevent emotional meltdowns from happening. This is going to be interesting. The better you get at nipping meltdowns in the bud, the less likely you are to ever have another one. That sometimes is just impossible when it is something that repeats itself over and over and over, and you have a meltdown over and over and over, and you seek medical, therapeutic